Oh my God. You know, when we were here a year and a half ago, before the 2024 elections, could anybody ever believe in October of 2024 that all of the blankety blank that has been going on would have actually been happening? With Trump? I mean, can you believe it? You know, I mean, from slush funds and everything else like that. But we're going to get into that later. Okay. Anyway, we're going to start off with Janice. Where are you? Okay. And when I do my thing, I'm going to turn the lights down for a minute because I have a little show here going on. And then we'll bring them up when our Congresswoman Susie Lee, who is right here in the front seat, is going to be speaking. Can you all hear me? Is everybody vertical? It's always good. You don't want to be horizontal. You want to be vertical. Okay, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Norm? Well, I don't want to take away from our candidates, really. Who's having a birthday these days in May or June? Coming in June, raise your hand. Yay, birthdays. Okay, we wish you a happy birthday. Happy birthday to everybody. Okay, I also want to tell you, what? Oh, wonderful. I didn't understand what you meant. Yes, that's a very big deal. Oh. Amber alert. Okay. It might be a new one. It might be a new one. Very good, very good. They found it good. Thank God. Okay, I want to thank everyone. On May 19th, we had a postcard writing party at my house. Altogether, it was 2 times during that day, from 10 to 12 and from 2 to 4. The total people in my small house was 18 people. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And we did a lot of postcards. So keep up the good work. What's coming down the pike, and we'll send out an email on June 29th on the building plan, 900 South 4th Street. We're going to be coming again. We'll be coming together again to write some more postcards. After that, that's going to be to different states. After that, come August, we're going to really focus here in Sun City. We want the people to get out there and vote. We want more people to come and join the Liberal Club because we are a welcoming community, and we want everybody who's a Democrat or a Liberal to come in. Okay, any questions? Any answers? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have a comment.
Okay.
Roy.
Roy.
At your house and the postcards. I wonder if this has happened to anybody else in the community. My next door neighbor puts his flag out every morning. He's a very great anti-Trumper. And the other day, someone took the flag from his spot on the garage, and only took it out, didn't put it on the driveway, threw it out in the middle of the street. And somebody had run over it. I missed that it was in between when I was home and he wasn't home. So and I told him to report it to Vince.
Yes, absolutely. And the police. That's vandalism.
There's some cars up and down. I live in Villa Ridge. There's a whole bunch of flags.
Yeah.
But why they singled him out is a mystery.
Well, there's mean-spirited people all over. It's just not here. It's across the country. But we just have to be positive and just keep our nose to the grindstone. We're going to win this, and we're going to take back our country. Believe
leave the meeting up. All right. You know, usually when we do the Pledge of Allegiance, we have this up here, okay? Because, you know, so much of you have Trump kissing the flag and hugging the flag and doing whatever else he is doing the flag, I don't know. But you know what, the beliefs of me when I've been growing up have been totally changed and modified and distorted, and it's almost like we're in Bizarro world for Superman's fans from back there in the 1950s and 60s. And so I just want to talk a little bit. Remember last month, I said there is somebody in this picture that's on the front cover of the link that was not there, okay? And they were put in. And these are the things that AI can do. So I want to let you know, nope, no. Now, I'm not going to say who it was, but I'm letting you know the thing of AI it's amazing what it can be done. You know, that person could say, well, look I was here when that picture was taken. I couldn't have committed the murder, you know, at that time. But these are the things, and I want to let you know we are recording our meetings because somebody can take a recording and put a little snippet of something that was said or distort it with AI, and I want to make sure that we have an accurate reading of what was said and documented fully. Anyway, now, you know, somebody said, how do we find out about the meetings? In every month in the link, you have the club section. And you can see, and sometimes since our meeting starts really early in the month, you don't get the link. But you also have Tuesday News Day, where our club section comes up there. And we always announce what happened at the last meeting and what's going on the next meeting. All right. Back in 1949, when I was in my mother's womb, my father was drawing cartoons. People who've been with the club for a while know that I've mentioned it a few times. My father, Fred Wright, was a cartoonist. And, you know, one of his cartoons was about Mr. Blowhard. And if you take Mr. Blowhard to a lot of the sycophants out there and all that are the oligarchy or whatever, like the oligarchy, it's the same thing there. And, you know, hey, we're cutting production because the market is glutted, and then the workers want to go on strike for a decent, hey, it's a Moscow red blot. This stuff about Nazism, communism, and socialism have been going on for years. All right, Mr. Blowhard, pity the poor owners. Company, they only got a mere 3 cents out of the shares dollar last year. Hey, congratulations, everybody. Profits are up. Wow, okay. 1949, when I was still in my mom's womb, that was drawn. Okay? The next one, and my dad was out there until he died in 1984. Mr. B favors cuts in government spending, government low-cost housing, health insurance. Why? The next thing you know, we'll have socialism. You know, what's going on in New York? Mondani and everything is getting slammed and everything. Oh, he's a communist and everything. Oh, it's horrors. Yeah, just say, hey, we want to bring a new superhydro germ bomb, would wipe out 1 million people in one time. That's what I call a nifty little firecracker. We sure be glad to take a contract for a couple billion or so. And that's exactly what is happening here. It has been happening since as long as I've been born. And probably others who maybe have been in grade school or whatever else like that, or the younger people who are here, maybe you weren't even born when these things were drawn. But what I'm saying is, things repeat over and over again. Unless we realize and understand that they repeat, we're never going to get out of it, okay? And it's the same game, it's the same playbook there, you know? All right. Remember this? All right, well, now we're talking about a year ago, okay? And Musk is out there, oh, we're going to do this Doge thing, okay? What got cut? SNAP, Medicaid, USAID, okay? Now what's happening with USAID? We have an Ebola crisis going on right now. And it was not caught early. It should have been caught when the first 2 or 5 or 10 cases. It wasn't caught until there were at least 200 cases, and who knows where it spread since then. And I was there in New York and dealing with my work as an RN. It specializes in infection prevention and infection control. And I was there with that whole Ebola thing when the nurses were in a tent and outside and everything. And this is a very deadly one. This one is worse. And, you know, sometimes you don't cut things from people that help people. Instead of bombing people, what are we doing? Cutting things and have, $200 million for what? War. Okay? U.S. funding cuts weaken response to the deadly Ebola virus. I want to say this here. We have a club here every year. In February 2024, the Conservative Club, that used to be one of the largest clubs here in Sun City, had their cutout of Trump there. And they used to bring the Trump cutout to just about every meeting there. I want to let you know that we are now almost double the size of the Conservative Club. We are not yet double, so talk to your neighbors, bring it in, okay? Keep them coming. And the next meeting, we're not going to have a meeting in July, because this whole room is going to be probably under construction and everything. So we're going to take a month off in July. Happy 4th of July. We're going to celebrate little parties around. When we come back in August, we are going to have the whole ballroom. We're going to set up with our tables, and I would love nothing better than to fill this whole room up. Okay? With energy and movement. I got to talk about this one here too, because I remember in 2012, Netanyahu was out there. This was in the United Nations, and Iran is 90% of the way to making the bomb, and we can't have them have a bomb. And here we are in 2026, and dealing with the same thing. And our president that has now created a war that he doesn't know what to do with or how to deal with, you know, he's getting tired of it because anyway, you can draw your own conclusions. I don't want to say, you know, but this has been going on. Again, history repeats itself. This has been going on since way before 2012. Remember what happened in Florida? Ralph Nader, the Nader's Raiders, took 50,000 votes away from Gore. And that developed into the whole hanging Chad thing there, and then the Supreme Court comes in. So bottom line, we got to work together and not split ourselves apart. So anyway, there's our Congresswoman Susie Lee, and there I am next to her. This is in 2 years ago, June of 2024. As part of the Nevada Nurses Association, which I belong to, I represent us in the American Nurses Association, and have been in communication with our Congresswoman since then and before. And actually, last year, she was actually in the discussions for the Big Ugly Bill, and came out of the discussions, and we talked a little bit about nursing and what to do and what the problems were. Yeah, and I don't know if this was because of what we were there or for other reasons, but this was in June of 2025. Congresswoman Susie Lee, this is August 2025, August 25th. Congresswoman Susie Lee introduces bipartisan legislation to combat Southern Nevada nurse shortage. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And, you know, we can have criticisms of things, and we can be so pure. I disagree with things, but you know what? We need to stand together. And whoever wins the June primaries, we have to stand 100% behind our Democratic candidate. We cannot split ourselves, okay? This is the part of, when I was out there last year, we went to the Holocaust Museum. And I'll just move it. The thing that struck me is after going through the Holocaust Museum, somebody wrote, and here we are again, there's a little room in it there after the whole thing.
That throws out the Constitution every goddamn chance he gets. And what do? We stand up and fight back. Do I hear you? What do we do? Fight back. What do we do? Fight back. When they fire illegally federal employees, what do we do? Fight back. When they terrorize our immigrant communities, what do we do? Fight back. When they demonize our trans community, what do we do? Fight back. When they cancel health care for millions of Americans, what do we do? Fight back. And when they trample women's rights, what do we do? Fight back.
I'm going to stop it there. You can, we have a YouTube channel on our WSCS, not WSCS, our Sun City Summerlin Liberal Club website here, and that is up there along with the whole October 18th presentation. But with that, Congresswoman Lee, I would like you to
Well, welcome. It's great to be here. It's good to see such a great turnout tonight. And first of all, Norm and Janice and the whole board, thank you for your leadership in growing the Liberal Club. Okay? We want to see this club be double the size of the Conservative Club out here. I think the tide is certainly changing here, and it's definitely changing throughout this country. And make no mistake, we have one goal that we all need to accomplish come November, and it's to flip the House of Representatives. And I think we have a good chance of taking the Senate too. I really do. I think, I think we've all gone through a year of despair. Right? I mean, I've been to many gatherings like this where people are like, what the hell are we going to do? All of the rights that we have fought for, women's rights, everything being ripped away. But I'm telling you that as I've been out in the community, and I've been here all week, talking to Democrats, Republicans, I represent Congressional District 3, so Sun City used to be split between me and Stephen Horsford, and now it's all mine. You're all mine. Lucky me. And so I've been, out in the community, and I'm telling you, I don't care where I am, and my district is pretty much everything west of the I-15, all of Summerlin. What's the northern boundary, like Cheyenne? Like pretty much Cheyenne. I go all the way down to the point, the tip of southern Nevada. I have Laughlin, Searchlight, out to Red Rock. So, we got it all. And it's one of the most socioeconomically diverse districts in the country, ethnically diverse districts in the country. And so it really represents where this country is. And when you look even at the makeup of voters, it's actually plurality independent. Nonpartisan voters are the majority of my voters, and pretty evenly split down the middle, Democrats and Republicans. I mean, it's generally, we got a little edge, but that's it. And so it really, to me, truly represents, of the 435 districts in the country, can anyone guess how many of them are truly competitive? What'd you say? Look at you, Mr. Pessimism. You said 20. It's about, okay, I'm gonna say 30 to 40, okay? I mean, and so this is a district that Donald Trump won and a Democrat won, and there's only 13 of them in the entire country. And now that we've gone through these gerrymandering wars, that to me, you know, listen, you gotta fight fire with fire, man. If you're coming at me, I'm gonna fight back twice as hard, okay? That's just how we're gonna do it. But I do really worry that the corrosive impact it has on our democracy. Because when you think about, you know, when I go to Washington and I leave in October. So October, we get the month off to come campaign. And I walk out and I'm sort of laughing to myself, but you know, a lot of my members who are in deep blue districts, they're like, woohoo, I'm going home, you know? And I'm like, I got a 50-50 chance that I'm coming back here, right? I'm like, this is like Hunger Games, okay? Like, I might not be coming back. And so it was really important to me in the caucus to say to our leadership, listen, as we fight to regain the majority, we have to have representation that comes from the districts that will decide whether or not the House is Democrat or Republican. So I petitioned the caucus to create a position called the Battleground Leadership Representative that sits at the leadership table every week. So when Hakeem Jeffries is deciding what's our approach to something, I get to have a say and say, well, this is how this is going to fly in a district like mine. And as you all live in the heart of my district. You live in a deeply divided area, so you get it every single day with the person taking down the flag and destroying it. I mean, when I first moved into my neighborhood, I live in Red Rock Country Club, I put a red, white, and blue wreath on my door on Memorial Day, and someone took it off and broke it into 4. But you know what's sort of fun too? Like, I live on a street where there's a lot of Republicans, all right? And they all put signs up for my opponents. But it's real fun the day after election. Drive down the street and be like, hi, how you guys doing today? So, but anyway, listen, we have 159 days until Election Day. And I'll say that this is one of the districts that gets decided on the margin, no matter what. This is my 4th election, my 5th election. I'm in my 4th term, I'm running for my 5th term. And for many of you know me, many of you don't, so let me give you a little background. I grew up in Canton, Ohio. I'm one of 8 children. My dad worked at a steel company, and my mother stayed at home and cleaned our house, pretty much. Kicked us out. Like, every morning she'd be like, get the hell out of the house. In the summer, I had a paper route when I was 8 years old, you know, all that. Came home at 5:15 to eat dinner. We had 1 shower and oh, by the way, there's 7 girls in my family. So my claim to fame is I take the world's fastest shower. But my mother literally pawned us off on the Canton Jewish Center when we grew up. And I spent my whole childhood swimming and working at the Jewish Center. And it's a story about how we all support each other. So, you know, my dad when I filled out my application to go to college, I went to Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh. I'm not sure I would get in now, but I got in back then. And when I filled out my application, my dad made $36,000. And so, you know, my parents knew how to stretch a dollar, right? And by the way, I'll say my father was a Korean War veteran, And he went to school on the GI Bill, and was very committed to all of his children going on to higher ed. And I will say that that to me is the American dream. And it's something that's out of reach for so many Americans today. And not to say that everyone needs to go to a 4-year university to get a good job, but we need to figure out how we're going to train our young people for the jobs of the future. And so, you know, my whole life, it was really defined by people helping me out when I needed it most. And, you know, whether it was in high school or when I went away to college, I was the first kid in my family. I'm number 6 out of 8. All my other siblings went to the University of Akron, which was right down the street, but I was sort of highfalutin. I had to go out of state, you know, and I had someone who gave me a job and hired me to be a nanny. And then, you know, my swim coach hired me to be an aerobics instructor. And so every step of the way, I had people who helped me out. And I always say in life, you're going up and down the ladder, and sometimes you're at the bottom and you're reaching your hand up and you need someone to help you out. And I'll tell you, throughout the course of my life, through every step of my life, there was always someone there. And I've taken that as my commitment to service. That, you know, if you're at the top of that ladder, you have a responsibility to reach down and help someone out. And so after I graduated from CMU, I worked in an environmental consulting firm in Boston, met my husband, who's not my ex-husband, that's a whole other story. We're not going to get into that tonight. Although his mother lives in Sun City, Mary Lee, if anyone knows Mary, who's a dancer. And yeah, she's amazing, isn't she? She's amazing. She is amazing. And so anyway, and I moved here and I worked for Jan Jones, the first female mayor of Las Vegas. Started the city's first comprehensive homeless drop-in center, and then went on to found the Intercity Games, which is now the After School All-Stars. Ran an organization with a bunch of women called Nevada Women's Philanthropy, which has invested millions of dollars into nonprofits in the community. And then right before I ran for Congress, I ran an organization called Communities in Schools, which is a dropout prevention program. But if you will see, there is a theme throughout my life, which is basically giving back. And that's exactly what being in Congress is about. And, you know, if you lose sight about who you serve, then you need to go. And to me, being a member of Congress is really about serving all of you and standing up to fight when we need to fight, but also being able to roll up your sleeves and work together to get something done. I mean, let's face it, like Congress's approval rating's about 9% right now. And I think people are a little frustrated with what's going on in Washington. Well, I think we're frustrated for many reasons. Probably who's in the president's office, you know, who's in the White House is primarily all of it. But you know, what has happened in this Congress, so I got elected in 2018. And honestly, when I got elected, it was in response. I was part of the largest incoming class of women in history to be elected to Congress. But it was also a large class of people who had never served in political office before, myself included. And do you all remember what it was in response to? It was in response to Republicans trying to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. Do you remember that? They voted 70 odd times to repeal the ACA. And so, but I know it, you know, flash forward, we're now into Donald Trump's second term, and guess what's under attack again? Healthcare, right? I mean, whether you're talking about, and by the way, Medicaid, taking away Medicaid so you can pass the big beautiful bill. By the way, I want to give everyone a pointer. Republicans don't like to call it the big beautiful bill anymore. You know why? Because it's so damn unpopular. So they don't like to talk about it anymore. But, you know, they took away SNAP benefits from hungry kids. Medicaid, you know, like how sick it was what they did with Medicaid? Like Medicaid, the way they take it away is basically say, now you have to apply every 6 months instead of once a year. And so you're a disabled person, you might have dementia, you know, and you somehow miss it. Well, then they take your Medicaid away. And, you know, and then the ACA tax credits. And, you know, I'll say, like, listen, the ACA tax credit, it helps 22 million Americans. People are like, why? You know, it's only 22 million Americans. Like, what's the big deal? The big deal is this, is that for those 22 million Americans, that's the difference between being insured and uninsured. And when they're not insured, they show up in our emergency rooms and we all pay for it. And that's what we're all seeing is our healthcare costs go up 30%. And this is a very personal story for me. When I was a sophomore at Carnegie Mellon University, my father lost his job. I worked in Pittsburgh. We were from Canton, Ohio. I lived in Pittsburgh, but it was the Rust Belt. He worked for a steel company, and his job, you know, he got laid off. And my parents had high blood pressure, so they had a pre-existing condition, and they didn't qualify for health care. You know, they could have qualified, but it would have cost them way too much money. They couldn't afford it. So they took a risk and decided to go without it. Well, my mom suffered a heart attack a month before she qualified for Medicare. And the hospital's like, that's okay. We'll just put a lien on your house and we'll take your house when you die. And, you know, that's something that so many Americans face. And this is what this administration's about. Like, let's go back to those times. Let's go back and make sure, and by the way, why? So literally, so when they pass the big beautiful bill, I always say it's like buckets, right? So you have one bucket of money, and you take the money out of this bucket, so you take it from Medicaid, you take it from SNAP, you take it from the ACA, you know, and by the way, they wanted to sell off all of our public lands in the West, but we fought back and we prevented that from happening. And then you put it in this bucket, and then in this bucket, you go, hey, are you the top 1% or the big corporations in the country? Because here's your money, and we're going to give it to you in the form of tax breaks. And by the way, not only that, but we're going to increase the deficit by trillions of dollars too, in order to do that. I mean, that's literally what happened. Like, I'm not making this up. It happened. And, you know, not to mention, like, the Ebola stuff, you know, the cutback on the USAID. And I'll just say this, well, I'm going to return to Washington. Actually, I'm taking a red-eye tonight because I want to be here with all of you. And I got to be back in D.C. tomorrow morning. But, and, you know, we're going to vote on a war powers resolution. This is not a war that anyone decided that we should be in. One guy decided, and no strategy, no end game, nothing. And 13 lives of our brave men and women were lost, not to mention the billions of dollars. And I sit on the Defense Appropriations Subcommittee. I'm on appropriations, and I'm on defense, and I'm on energy and water. Energy and water obviously is important to our state, one, because of water, but two, also because of energy. I mean, we are poised to be an exporter of renewable energy. I mean, we have one of the highest per capita renewable energy workforces in the country, except it's been stopped in its tracks because this president signed an executive order that said any renewable wind or solar project has to get personally approved by the Secretary of the Interior, Doug Burgum. And, you know, we're working on it. We're like breaking them down because they see how wildly unpopular it is. And, you know, Republicans will say, well, that's not baseload energy, blah, blah, blah. Listen, we have batteries. Like, we have batteries now. Like, the solar energy is a reliable source of energy. And it's actually baseload for the state of Nevada because we don't produce gas. We don't produce oil and gas. We produce renewable energy. And that's a workforce for us. And so we're going to continue to break them down and, like I say, beat them down to get it back. Right? Right. I know. And, but anyway, so, you know, I'm going back to DC to continue to fight against this administration. And I will say, many people, I will say, like in the last year, like a year ago, I'd be at an event like this, and people were like, I'm ready to give up. Like, they're just like, what are you doing? What are, you know, what are Democrats doing? Well, listen, we have fought every step of the way. We are winning the court cases. Now, court cases take a while, but I'll tell you what is giving me hope is pretty much every election that has happened in the last year has swung to Democrats by an average of about 15 points. And so we can't just rely on that because so much is at stake in this country. We have to get out and work. And so we have 159 days. This is a seat that gets decided literally on the margins. So if you have time to phone bank or write postcards, you know, whatever it is you're comfortable doing, please. Greg Latiman is my campaign manager. Sherman is my, he does all my field work and all my organizing. Please volunteer to help us out because, so, you know, I have a primary. I'm sure James Lawley has been here a few times. He and I don't see eye to eye on a few things. Okay, and we're just gonna leave that there. Okay, but I will tell you that to me, you know, this is a district that Republicans won because this election is not just about 2026. It's about setting the table for the presidential election, okay? And Republicans only have one congressional seat, and that's up in Reno. And that's even in play this time. That's even in play. But they're looking at Southern Nevada, and they're thinking, we really need to get a Republican seat in Southern Nevada. And when you look at all the statistics, et cetera, this is the seat they want. And trust me, I've been through it. In 2022, my seat was the second most expensive congressional race in the country. A Republican spent $20 million. Remember April Becker? Yeah, we took her out. Well, now she's at the county commission. But, you know, Danny Tarkini, we took him out. He went up north to run for office. Dan Rodheimer, I think he's going to jail. Who's the other one? Well, anyway, the next one will be Marty O'Donnell, we think. So, I think Marty is going to come out of the election. We're not sure, but it looks, you know, he's got Trump's endorsement, Elon Musk's endorsement. So, we think it's going to be him. And I'll just lay the stage. This is the difference. And you have a woman who has lived here for 33 years and has dedicated my life to public service. And, you know, from the day I stepped foot in Southern Nevada, I worked for nonprofits. And to me, this is an extension of that work. Because so many nonprofits end up in Washington asking Washington to make investments in their nonprofits. Which, by the way, I'm so happy today. I just announced a $750,000 investment that I got for the Lou Ruvo Brain Institute to purchase a portable MRI machine that they can go out to rural communities to do early detection of dementia. Yeah. That's just part of the $5 billion I've been able to return to Southern Nevada. And I made a commitment when I ran for Congress. There were 3 things that were important to me. One is making sure that we have a country that a girl like me, who grew up in Canton, Ohio, can have a shot at success. And we got a lot of work to do around that, because I feel like so much that's happening in Washington is feeding the big corporations and the wealthiest and not providing support to the middle class. The second thing was, I do want to be bipartisan. I want to work across the aisle. That's the only way to get things done. I mean, you can fight like hell. I'm going to fight like hell. If you want to take away my right to choose, I'll fight like hell for that. I mean, I'm going to fight on issues, but ultimately, we got to pass laws that are going to transcend. I don't want to live in a country where every 4 years you go like this. You know, you're waiting, 4 years we erase what they did, and then they erase what we did, and it's just a yo-yo. And in order to do that, you got to compromise. I have some incredible, I'm going to go back and pass a piece of legislation to make geothermal energy permitting easier to happen. We have a huge geothermal potential here in Nevada. So tomorrow, turn into C-SPAN, I will be on the floor presenting my bill. Another issue, HEGSET comes in front of my committee. Now listen, it's so easy. Like, it's just so easy. Like, you just want to beat the shit out of me. I mean, yeah, like, you just, but you gotta bite it. And so this is what I did. He came in front of my committee twice. The first time he came in front of my committee, I said, hey, we have a company called MP Materials. It's a rare earth mine that's on the border of Southern Nevada and California. It's headquartered in downtown Summerlin. And they produce a rare earth heat-resistant mineral that is used for defense applications. But what they do is they pull it out of the ground and we ship it to China to make magnets so China can ship it back to the United States unless we build our own processing plant. So the Department of Defense had awarded an Australian company $350 million to build a processing plant, and they gave poor little MP Materials $35 million. And so, listen, you just got to do this, okay? I go, Secretary Hexton, I believe in made in America just like you do, right? You got to play on their ego, right? And then I'm like, but, we sent $350 million to an Australian company and we didn't invest in an American company. What's up with that? Well, 3 weeks later, they announced a $2 billion investment in MP Materials. Okay? And trust me, and I didn't want to be sweet with Hexa, okay? I didn't. But, you got to do what you got to do to get shit done, right? And then he just came in front of my committee. So we have a group, and then I'll wrap it up and we'll take some questions. So we have a group of veterans who live here, who worked at the Nevada test site. Did anyone work at the test site here? And so, we have a really bad legacy with the test site. I mean, people weren't told how dangerous it was and the radiation, etc. So they were exposed to toxic radiation. And sadly, they brought it home. They didn't know. They had it on their clothes and their hair, and they came home and it got into their carpet fibers, and their whole family was exposed to it. So in the year 2000, the United States Congress passed a law that said if you work for the Department of Energy at the test site, we'll take care of you. We'll give you benefits, we'll take care of your health care, etc. Except there's this group of men and women, primarily men, who worked at the test site, who worked for the Department of Defense, but they were so classified that their job doesn't even exist. They are now 70 years old and older, and they're all dying of cancer. And not one of them has received an ounce of benefits from the Veterans Affairs Administration. And so when HECSEP came in front of us, I just said, can you please commit? Like, you are the guy. You alone can make this decision to unclassify these records. Not only them, but their families. Like, if they pass away, their families don't even get benefits because they've never been recognized. So we're waiting. We hear he's doing something, I don't know. But anyway, so I'm just saying, like, when you're in Washington, you can fight like hell. We're fighting like hell. But you also got to find those opportunities to work together. And, that's honestly, like I said, I want to make kids. I used to get the shit beat out of me all the time, but I've learned how to work with people because that's how you don't. So I'm asking you for your support. I'm asking you not just for your vote, but if you have time to do any type of volunteering. And by the way, it doesn't just need to be for me. We have assembly candidates, we have Senate candidates, we have so much at stake in the state of Nevada. And listen, we're a swing state. And like I said, this is setting the stage for 2028. And when Democrats show up this year, and not just, by the way, it's not just Democrats, nonpartisan voters are, we've done some polling. I'll just tell you, like, the shift has been dramatic. It's been dramatic. But we got to get them out to vote. And I see Deirdre here, who's like passing some stuff out to, and Joanna Kirshner's here, our judge. And there you are, I know. And we got everyone here from the, what is it, Dems, the Southwest Dems?
Red Rock.
Right, oh my God. Aren't you Southwest Dems too? Lonnie's with the, but I thought you were in Southwest Dems too.
I was, and
No, she's
then I
not.
left,
See,
and then
I
I went back, and
I know, the Lonnie's in the back. And so, listen, join up, get active. We've got a lot of work to do, but thank you all, and I'll take some questions. Thank you.
I have concern about the blue wave. I also have a bigger concern about who the Democrats, what candidate are we looking for president? That is such a big issue because the Republicans, in my opinion, have already put theirs. And I
Yeah, I'm not so sure about that. I think it could be Marco Rubio, but I think there's going to be a big fight on whether it's Rubio or J.D. Vance. This is what she asked a question about the 2028 primary. And I do want to address this because so many people I hear have said, what do the Democrats stand for? And I'm like, Social Security, Medicare, making sure people have food on their table, making sure people have health care. When you look at what we accomplished under Biden with the infrastructure bill and the Inflation Reduction Act, mean, I think we're pretty clear about what we stand for, but I'll say this. It's hard to come up with a national unifying platform until you have a presidential candidate. Yeah, I mean, we're gonna get one. I mean, here's the good news. We're gonna have one. We're gonna have a presidential candidate. And it's gonna be a robust primary. There's so many options. I mean, you pick your, I'll just name off a few. Andy Brashear, Shapiro, Pritzker, what'd you say? Yeah, Newsom, Booker, Pete Buttigieg, Alyssa Slotkin, who was a classmate of mine. I mean, I'm just saying, like, it will be a robust and Kamala Harris, apparently is running again. So it'll be a robust primary, and we will get a candidate that will come out of that primary. And the most important thing is for us to unify around that candidate, right? But I'll tell you, in this election, it is your life better off than it was? And hell no is the answer. And, right, hell no is the answer. And we will have an affirmative platform, but you need a presidential candidate, you do. And by the way, our platform is, we want to protect healthcare, we want to protect Social Security, and we want to get rid of this damn corruption in Washington. I mean, the Trump family has made billions of dollars. The call sheet bets that happened with his administration before we bombed whoever. I mean, like, we've all seen it, the ballroom, the $250 bill, you name it. Everyone wants no more of that. So anyway, so I agree with you, but I think we will have a candidate. It will be a robust, it'll be a primary, but whoever comes out of that primary will be tested by Democrats, and we'll have a nominee. And if it's Rubio, I'm not certain that Republicans have decided on Rubio. I think J.D. Vance is certainly going to try to make a run for it. So I think they got turbulent waters ahead. And by the way, I'm just going to say this. Like, it's sort of been a little fun watching Trump oppose Cornyn and all the senators and Tillis, and then, now all of a sudden these guys got some guts. I was going to say another word, but I'm such a lady. But I don't use swear words.
Drop another one.
Oh, wait, we have one over, one here, and then you, okay.
So this is a good lead-in to what you just said. So this is a good lead-in to what you just said. I am intensely curious about this, and I often will say to my husband, what are the Republicans thinking about? They look at Trump. We see what Trump is doing. Please tell us, behind the curtain,
What are the
what are they
Republicans
talking
thinking
about?
So I started on this a little bit earlier. So when I got elected in 2018, it was during Donald Trump's first term. And I'll tell you the significant difference between then and now is the last time there were actually Republicans who stood up to him. Well, guess what? They're all gone. I mean, they either got voted out in a primary or they retired. And by the way, a lot of them are good friends of mine. Like I do have friendships on the other side of the aisle, and they're gone. And so, that's just the state of play. But I'll tell you what Republicans are thinking. They're thinking, how do I get reelected? And that's so sad. And, you know, I always think like, you know, let's just think if the tables were turned, if there was a Democrat president who was doing crazy shit, like, would I stand up? You know, and I'd like to think, like, it's not this, you know, I want to stand up for what's right for this country. And so I'll tell you that behind closed doors, the conversations are a heck of a lot different than they are in front of the camera. And it's really a sad shame at the state of affairs right now. But honestly, most of them are just worried about, I mean, listen, he'll tweet at someone who votes against him like you're getting a primary. And I mean, look at it, the guy who I'm running against, Marty O'Donnell, he tweeted before he announced he was running for Congress, he said, I'm only gonna run if I get Donald Trump's endorsement. How weak is that? Right? Like, anything with Donald Trump's endorsement. You know, like, how about run on your own damn merits? Right? I mean, and so that's sort of the world we're in. But this is what I'm going to say also. With all this crazy redistricting that's happened, and I know everyone's really worried about it, in order to make a blue district more red, you got to make a red district more blue.
Yes.
Okay? And so I'm just going to say, I'm just going to make a little prediction that there's going to be several members who are surprised. And I'm telling you, running a race like mine, like in a tough district with millions of dollars spent against you, is a heck of a lot different than running a race in a deep red district. And so there's a lot of members who have been in deep red districts their whole careers. They've never had to pick up the phone to raise money. They really don't even have to go home to visit with people, you know, like do this, like get out in their community and see people. So I think they're going to be shocked. So I think that, I think we have the potential of not just having a blue wave, but a very big blue wave. All the television and, yeah, listen, you know, she asked a question, which is a good question. Like, you know, structurally, there's an issue because you got, like what happened with CBS, with Stephen Colbert, you know, and taking over the media and taking over, etc., you know. Yeah, absolutely. But I'm going to say this. I always find it interesting because when you get on Twitter, like people think they're incredible because they got a big Twitter following, including Marty O'Donnell, by the way, who's like got all these followers from his Halo days. But you got to get out and talk to voters. And you got to get into your community and talk to voters. And I will say that, you know, social media is important. The news media is important. But, you know, when you go to your gas pump and pay $5.60 for a tank of gas, when your groceries, you know, what used to cost you $200 at the grocery store now costs you $300, you know, when your electric bill is going up, like, you know, at some point you're like, wait a minute, I thought this dude was going to make my life easier, it's made my life harder. And so, you know, you can't battle that. And so I'll just tell you that, yes, it's not like I don't worry about it, and I will say the Democratic Party has made major investments to combat it and to, you know, match it, but it's definitely an issue, but ultimately you got to get out and understand where voters are, and they're not on Twitter. Yeah, okay, right here. I'll get her and then in the back.
Thank you. It's been indicated, you see it all in the news, that people are more leaning to the Democratic Party. But the thing that I worry the most is the gerrymandering, because they're very quiet right now. before, they were so loud in the gerrymandering, but when they're quiet, maybe they're working under the table and spreading it all out. So I mean, although the country is leading towards that and indicated that as well, but the gerrymandering is a big question.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the gerrymandering, you know, they just ruled against what happened in Alabama. Like, you know, we're winning some court cases. And again, you can't negate what's happening with the gerrymandering, even though, you know, we've sort of countered it with what we did in California, et cetera. So we're sort of, I would say, relatively even in the battle of it. But like I said before, in order to make a blue district more red, you got to make a red district more blue. So I think it's going to turn around and have unintended consequences. I do. Yeah. And in the back.
Congresswoman, I have a question about, it's in your wheelhouse, AI data centers. What's the status of Nevada, Clark County, and as well as Nevada?
Yeah, that's a good question. She wanted to ask about AI data centers. Well, listen, we have one of the first and largest data centers in the country, Switch. And I'll tell you this, Switch has a big footprint land-wise, but with respect to energy uses, they're a runoff of renewable energy. They recycle their water too. And so when you look at the footprint, and not to say that all data centers are like that, but Switch is. I know there's a proposal to build another data center out at north of town. And similar, I think the requirement is that the water has to be reused. And I'm not 100% certain, but I know that is part of the deal. So I would say, and I'm not 100% certain of what's happening up north. I think there's one in Reno that people are upset about, so I'm not fully read in on that. But I'm going to say this. This is my opinion on AI. It's here, and it is the new revolution on how we are going to do things in our world. But I look at it not, you know, I certainly think that we need to provide guardrails when it comes to national security to make sure that people are making decisions and not machines. But I also think we need to harness the productivity and what it could do. Like, think even about medical, like in diagnosis. And, you know, like now, AI has an Alzheimer's, you can use AI to do an Alzheimer's screening to see if you have the markers and early detection on Alzheimer's. So, you know, but do I worry that it replaces jobs? Absolutely. But I think that as we look at legislation at a federal level, I mean, I certainly want to harness the productivity, but I want to make sure that the benefits of AI don't stay at the top. That, you know, and by the way, how about we rethink what a week is, right? So if you were an accountant and your job took you 40 hours a week and now it only takes you 20, who gets the 20 hours? You or the company? Right? And how do we rethink what productivity is? That's what I think about when I think about AI. But I'm particularly concerned about AI when it comes to national security. And we are in a race with China for everything, right? And certainly AI. And so I think that we need to be very careful, but also harness the benefits and try to put guardrails so we're not, you know, being overrun by machines that are making decisions for us.
Well, with
and
water and
making sure that the economic benefit has a trickle-down effect, that it doesn't stay at the top 1%. Yeah. Oh.
Actually, this has been a problem for me for many, many years, and even when I figured out that I was paying 3 times the rate of Mitt Romney, but yeah, my actual tax rates are roughly 3 times plus or minus what the wealthy wind up paying. And of course they say, oh, my income tax rate is higher, but they have all the deductions and everything else, and actually, if you take the total amount of cash flow they have and how much tax they pay, it's right about, it's a single digit, 7-9%, and I'm paying 22. So I know we keep hearing that the rich pay their fair share, but how about that one?
Well, let me talk about this. You know, this is an issue that I'm passionate about. Democrats, when you think about making life more affordable, I mean, we can fight to bring down the cost of groceries, etc., but we need to increase people's incomes. And why don't we talk about tax breaks for anyone earning under $400,000? Like, you know, let's focus on how we're going to accomplish that so that, you know, the vast majority of Americans can actually see more money in their pockets than the, you know, the wealthiest 1% who have all sorts of loopholes, who know, right? Who know how to game the system. Exactly what you're saying. So that's something that should be front and center of a Democratic platform, putting more money in people's pockets. And by the way, I do want to talk about no tax on tips. Okay. First of all, everyone needs to understand, do you know who wrote the first no tax on tips bill? Your Nevada delegation did, okay? Not Donald Trump, all right? And by the way, our no tax on tips had no expiration date, right? I mean, that's so crazy that, like, we give tax breaks to the billionaires and those go on forever. But if you're a tipped earner in 2028, we're done giving you your tax break, right? Like, and by the way, the no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, all that stuff, like, oh, after 2028, you're gonna have to come back and beg for it. But if you're the wealthiest Americans, you're good forever, right? Like, you're good forever. And by the way, we put in guardrails too that said if you're like a hedge fund manager, you can't designate like your income as a tipped income and you know, have a loophole and take a tax benefit. So, you know, just, you know, when you're out there and people are like going no tax on tips, just remember the better bill and the original bill came from your Democratic delegation here in Nevada, not from All right, I gotta take one more and then
one more you want?
we got one more right here and then I gotta go get on a plane.
Would you oppose U.S. military action to arrest Raul Castro like they did Maduro? And what would your position be on military intervention in Cuba?
What's my position on military intervention in Cuba? Listen, I think that first of all, what we did with Maduro, again, I think any type of military action needs to come through Congress first. So I'll say this, like, I'll give you an answer when I get a briefing on what I need to know. But right now, I would oppose anything unless it gets approval and a clear, let's just say vetting of at least your major committees, intelligence, armed services, defense appropriations, which we never had a chance to do with respect to Maduro and with respect to Iran, right? And so I'll go back to you on exactly where I stand on that after I get a full briefing on what the options are, because right now we don't know. All right, thank you all.
Congresswoman has a red eye to catch to Washington. All right, there is some, I already have my Susie Lee yard sale and sign, and my neighbor across the street, we have this competition. Once they put a sign up, I put a sign up, and I'm not going to start it, but once they start it, last time we had the presidential election, we had 7 different signs, and we even made the SCS thing there, because here we are battling people, one opposite the other there. We need to stand up. One of the slides I had, and I really didn't bring it out, was Bernie Sanders. Do you realize that 12% of the people who were campaigning for Bernie Sanders and wanting Bernie Sanders to win ended up voting for Trump? We cannot be so pure that if we don't get everything we want, we're going to go crazy and let the other people. This is where we need to do. We need to work together. And whoever wins the primary and June 9th, and everybody please get out and vote. We had 2 early voting days down in Mountain Shadows. We are going to have a early voting day up in here in Desert Vista, right here in Desert Vista. All right, there's no excuse for anybody not to vote. If you're going to vote by mail, come down and put it in the box, because it may never get in here in time. Especially that's for the November election. Okay? Anybody? There is some Susie Lee stuff there. Hey, I want to thank whoever put this. I did that. Okay, all right. There were a couple more on the table there, so, don't blame me. I things on the gas pumps, and then the grocery signs, but this definitely every time I go in. And Janice is there flashing this tag there, because we've got a 50-50 going on. And a lot of people are flashing. So Janice, you want to take the meeting over here?
Okay. I'm going to put a plug in for the place where I'm working. It's up on Durango. It's going north. It's called the Thunderbird Park. You can't miss it. It's a big white tent. So as you're going north, just before you start going on Durango, that'll take you to the Centennial Hospital, look for the big white tent on the left. I'd love to see them. There's 8 poll workers. I'm working every other day. I work today, so I'm off tomorrow, but on Wednesday and Friday I'll be there, and of course I'll be there on the election day. Norman, do you want me to do the raffle? Okay, he's bringing it over. He's bringing it over.
Do we trust Janice to pull the
I just don't want to come out. If I win it, it goes back to the club.
$95, everybody. $95.
Ready? 727 295.
In the back, over there.
All right. Come get your loot.
Hey, everybody, we had a great picnic there on Saturday, Sunday, right? There are sodas over there, brownies over there.
Take something home.
Go for it,
Get
yes.
home safe.
Please.